Hello and welcome to the Tifo Football podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and today I'm delighted to be joined by JJ Bull.
I wonder what other birds remember things.
Oh, that's true. It's a good question because we talked about birds today.
Yes.
Reuben Pinder.
Hello.
Seb Stafford-Bloor joins us all the way from Deutschland.
Hello, Joe.
There he is. And Steve Hankey's here also.
Hello.
Right, now, what did we... And Steve Hankey's very sad.
Yes.
There he is. What did we talk about today? Well, first I should say that if you're coming here expecting us to talk about Arsenal, Manchester City, well, you're in the wrong place. We did that yesterday on a live stream, which is also up on the podcast feed. I was joined by John and Kaya to do that. So if you want to hear about that game and a little snippet,
Crackle pop.
a little crapple and pop of the Merseyside derby at the end as well, then you can check yesterday's episode. Today, here's what we're talking about. Well, Manchester United kept their sheets clean against Chelsea. Right, Steve, who pooped theirs yet again. Now, this small script line diverted the podcast immediately to discuss why clean sheets are called clean sheets. We did do that.
When you forgot a script that you were in charge of.
I'd read it aloud 4 weeks ago. Yeah. My wife was attacked by a crow. We discussed it. Very alarming. So I shared that with all of you. We go on to speak about what Chelsea's unusual strategy has built. Is it a top 6 landfill football squad? Well, maybe it is. For Man United, we discussed their 10-point safety cushion for Champions League football and a potentially bright future for Michael Carrick and the Red Devils. Then we play the Rondo. That was an exciting Rondo. I liked it today. Will JPB's midweek title be taken? No mention, right, Steve, of my Rondo crown that I won on yesterday's live stream, but then people be jealous. It appears that Marco Rosa will be, or could potentially be, the AFC Bournemouth's next manager. So Seb gives us the lowdown on the man born and forged in Leipzig, and I do a Bane impression, and then Reuben does a better Bane impression after me.
Do you know what's going to be really annoying if Rosa does go to Bournemouth? Is everyone's going to call him Rose.
Oh, I guess that might happen. I'm trying. Is there Rose and Cherries? There could be something well, didn't
Steve put
related?
a slightly convoluted joke about adding a cherry to their bouquet in the script earlier that you glossed over?
I did.
Did I miss that one, Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Cherries in a bouquet.
Yeah.
Oh, a rose.
Put some cherries in my bouquet.
Well,
Remember that classic, that Frank Sinatra?
Yeah.
I'll put a cherry.
Was that also in the
bouquet.
2001 Premier League
No, that was
season?
1957. We do talk about the 2001 Premier League season, though. Reuben tries to tell us about Coventry's long and winding return to the Premier League, but JJ and Seb do keep shouting old Premier League players at him, so that takes a while. But if you're of 40 or older, stick around for that part. You'll enjoy the sense of familiarity. In a world that's become so unknown to you, listen to things that are familiar. How about that? And we also come, as we come to a close, we briefly touch on Reuben's trip to Florence and Aston Villa's resurgent form. I tell someone I F-bomb a little in that part, don't I?
Frequently.
Aston Villa fans, I wouldn't hang around for that because we don't actually talk about your team. I thought it would be funnier. And then we played Points Are Bad, and that's the whole show. Did I miss anything?
Don't think so.
Speaking about Aston Villa's 4-3 win over Sunderland.
Oh, we missed that.
Yeah,
we did miss that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But fine.
How about that?
Yeah. You ever been attacked by an animal before?
Yeah, several times. But, I worked on a farm, so it comes with the nature of things.
Is there any ones that you think remembered you and would try and attack you?
Pigs.
Good memories?
Do pigs have good memories? Or do I have good memories?
Of the pigs? No, do pigs have good memories?
I think, there was a boar.
A boar?
There was a boar.
Did it go, boar?
It did. Every time it saw us sow.
Actually, we got some wild boar in Florence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seb looks a lot like he wants to leave now. Yeah.
I was actually just about to launch into a chorus of "Bore on the Floor."
Oh, I was talking to my friend Paul the other day about. I just recently rewatched Succession.
I missed that show,
and he said he liked it, but he doesn't like the really really horrible bits. And his main one was "Bore on the Floor," which I think is so funny.
Do you know my favorite bit from the early parts of Succession is when Greg is driving his grandfather down for Thanksgiving or someone's birthday, and he says to Tom on the phone, "I'm just driving my grandpa," and Tom's like, "Greg, fuck your grandpa." You're on speakerphone, Tom. So great.
What's "Bore on the Floor"? I'm thinking of that J-Lo song, and I think that would be funny.
No,
Let's get the bore on the floor. Get the bore on the floor.
Have you not seen Succession?
Yes.
It's a horrible game that a horrible man makes some horrible people play.
game.
Throws the
Yeah, I
sausages on
remember
the floor
that.
and after
Some sausages on the
pigs,
floor. Something got cut, but here's the episode. Well, where else to begin, of course, than with Chelsea 0. 1 Manchester United. Right, Steve, Man United surely cementing their place in next season's Champions League with a 1-0 away win against European qualification rivals Chelsea. A fine Mateus Cunha strike from yet another Bruno Fernandes assist was enough to secure the points with their much changed back line, keeping a scrupulously clean sheet. No soiling on Saturday night for the Red Devils, right, Steve? Good Lord. You've given me the vision of someone pooping their sheets. That's a bit of sheet pooping. You know, we did a video the other day on why it's called a clean sheet. And it was really interesting, and I have immediately forgotten.
Even though you did the voiceover.
Yeah, I did the voice. Honestly, it was like 4 weeks ago.
Well, presumably it's to do with like writing down goal scorers, and if there are no goal scorers, you don't write anything down, so the paper remains clean.
I think that might be it. I think that might have been it.
End of video.
Let me tell you what though. Let me just get it up.
I have this, but I forget what I've done the day before. So it's like every day I wake up and it's a totally new person.
What's the opposite of groundhog?
That's how I felt for a long time. And then I went to therapy.
Oh.
Yeah. Listen, why is conceding no goals in a football game called keeping a clean sheet? Now I'm reading now from the Tifo video script.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is, of course, because...
When I wake up every morning, I'm like a totally new person. Oh, no,
Yes.
sorry, I'm reading your diary.
Oh.
Well, the phrase begins to mind bed sheets. Sorry, I can't read. The phrase brings to mind bed sheets. That's what I was just, and that's what Steve was doing there with the pooping in the sheets.
Do this bit in your voiceover voice instead of your podcast voice.
Because actually, when I do that, I can read perfectly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny how that works, isn't it? Well, the phrase brings to mind bed sheets, but it's actually totally unrelated. When reports first began covering football matches, there were no computers on which to record statistics from the games. Instead, they would write things down on white sheets of paper, Reuben.
Therefore, we need a new name for it because to update it.
Yeah, so we should have empty cell.
They kept a blank dock.
Yeah,
Empty cell.
It was a blank dock, or it was an empty cell.
Empty cell, that's good. Yes.
Oh man, they kept a record number of empty cells that season.
Wow.
Well, anyway, Man United kept an empty cell in this game. Perhaps a little fortuitously. We will come on to discuss Manchester United a little bit later. I think we should start with Chelsea, though, because the main point of interest here is that there's now a 7-point gap between them in 6th and Liverpool in 5th. And Liverpool also won in the Merseyside derby yesterday. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games in the Premier League. They haven't scored since March. I know there's big international break. My favourite statistic that I have, they've only won 3 points more than Spurs since late February. They are doing absolutely abysmally in the form table.
Level on points with Brentford and Bournemouth, only 2 ahead of Everton and Brighton.
They've won fewer points than Wolves in the last month or so. Anyway, so it's going very, very badly for Chelsea at the moment. Although I do think it's worth saying it's actually kind of a decent performance. They're a bit unfortunate to come away with 0 points here. What do you think's gone wrong for them in the last period of time, JJ? Because it's bad.
I don't know. I think they are fine. So I was thinking this last night, trying to work out what is wrong with them. You look at the team, it's all right. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
They don't really have any elite players apart from Caicedo you maybe have in there.
Sure.
Cole Palmer's disappeared completely.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work. Enzo Fernandez has obviously done stuff where he's just trying to get a move and people don't love that. So there's obviously a bit of...
He's also very good though. It's him, Caicedo, and I'd say James are the real
Reece James.
top level
yeah,
players.
but even then, right? I take it. But then I don't know. There's things with some players. Sometimes they look amazing, and you're like, wow, they're amazing, and then other times they're not. But they're not always. You always know Bruno Fernandes is amazing, even when he's not playing well. Whereas Chelsea, I think the big problem is Cole Palmer was doing a lot of bits for them, and now
Cole Palmer was king.
Yeah, he was king. And then you had Caicedo is the other king. There's 2 kings, and Caicedo is one of them as well. I keep looking at your phone, Ruben. Sorry, that's
upside down.
It's shiny, and I'm going to have to go for it. Can
I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes.
You said it's shiny, and you have to go for it. A crow attacked my wife in the woods. A crow attacked my wife in the woods. Was she shiny? So she is quite shiny. That's the thing. What she has. She has. Have you ever seen Game of Thrones?
Yes.
She's sort of like a Targaryen.
Yeah, she does have Targaryen.
She's
hair,
got
yeah.
that. She's got like a baby's hair, but she's in her 40s. You know, it's very strange. Anyway,
What did the crow want?
I don't know, but it full on attacked the back of her head, and it left all mud clumps in her hair. And I was reading about it because I've seen a video before that said that crows have an excellent memory, and they hold grudges, and they can tell their crow friends about grudges that they hold. So if a person has wronged them in the past, they or a friend of the crow may attack. Now, I wondered, is someone with hair like my wife bothering the crows in the woods near our house? And is that why the crow attacked my wife? Seb, you put your hand up. Have you got something to share with us about crows?
No, I've got a question because obviously you told us about how after the crow attacked your wife, you went home and did some research on crows. Whilst the attack was happening, did you do anything?
I was the crow. No, I wasn't there. This was something that was reported. I wish I was there. I would have loved to have seen a crow attack my wife, but I just have to imagine it like the rest of us.
Well, I've googled are crows evil, and it says they're not inherently evil.
No.
They are highly intelligent, social, and opportunistic birds. So it could be that they're seeking an opportunity.
Well, I wondered, did they think my wife's hair was a shiny thing they could have for their nest?
I think it's more likely they're holding a grudge because of ancient bloodline wars between,
It's possible.
like when maybe
You haven't met the in-laws. Some of the in-laws, I think some of her in-laws may have attacked crows in the past.
I mean, I'll leave that to you if you want to leave that in.
Oh yeah, leave that one in. A scathing burn on the family.
I think that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
I think.
Anyway, what were you saying about Chelsea?
They don't have enough crows in their team, and
No,
I think
that's maybe true.
Yeah, they did have crows. I mean, crows would remember grudges, and I think the crows in the Chelsea team will remember Enzo Fernandez's desire to leave,
Yeah.
and they will pass that on to the other crows, and they'll remember that in the future. So
Absolutely.
there's crows. They must have crows in Madrid.
Well, the crows in this analogy, the crows are the fans, and you're right that crows have long memories, and they. I mean, if he scored a couple of goals, they'd forget all about it. But as it stands, I don't think that is the case.
Well, anyway, I was doing something about the players that like their team's all right. I remember when they spent like £1 billion on all these players that they are FIFA, the star rating you get on EAFC or whatever the hell it's called now. It went down from 5 stars to 4.5. So they spent £1 billion to get half a star worse, which is quite funny.
That is funny.
The hope is obviously that they would improve over time, so the potential would increase. But
sure. So a lot of those transfers have been have not really worked out, though, have they, Reuben?
Yeah, well, it's the applying hedge fund logic to sport because it works in American sport. Obviously, the landscapes in that kind of that self-contained draft franchise model and the kind of more sprawling competitive European football is very different. So it hasn't worked. I think it was it Liam Toomey explained this on the Totally show, saying that at the fans were protesting this model led by Blueco. And I think maybe there was a placard or somebody said words to the effect of 1 billion spent and I miss Victor Moses,
Right.
Yeah, that was Liam on Totally.
Yeah.
the thing is, though, I think that plan they've done, it can work. Like, you can go long term where the players then become good, but it doesn't work if the players who are there want to achieve things right now. So, like, you need players like Enzo Fernandez to come in and make them good now, but they want to be surrounded by players who are ready now. And so then they start doing things like, I'm going to go now, by the way. And so then you lose a bit of like the
momentum,
camaraderie, the camaraderie together. Like, if you lose that spirit.
Well, there was some Cole Palmer discussion a couple of weeks ago, wasn't there? I mean, he seems to have come out since and seemingly committed his future to Chelsea. But every time I see him interviewed about it, I always feel a little bit like, does it seem that keen?
This is the thing. Every year that they miss out on the Champions League, you think, well, Caicedo, Enzo and Palmer are going to get frustrated and try to leave, which undermines the whole long-term essence of the project. Like, they have to get European football. And that was they didn't have a front of shirt sponsor for a while because they were like, if when we get into the Champions League, we'll get a better deal, and then missed out. So they've done a lot of things wrong. Similar to Enzo Fernandez recently kind of hinting during the international break that he fancied going to Madrid. Marc Cucurella said similar in an interview with Paul Bayus and Guillermo Wright in The Athletic. It's kind of suggesting that Barcelona would be hard to turn down if they came knocking.
Right.
So I can understand why their best players maybe are getting slightly bored and getting itchy feet. But all that said, in this United game, they did dominate.
Yeah.
They put up...
They did.
They had way more shots. But according to SofaScore, from those 24 shots, only one big chance.
Yeah, there's some outlets didn't register them as having any big chances as well. So I
think it was 0. Yeah.
What do you make of Chelsea from afar, Seb? I know you won't have spent as much time watching them with your Bundesliga coverage, but it's kind of a mess, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, mess might be too harsh. It just seems like there's a difference between what the fans want the club to be and what the owners want the club to be. We've mentioned the kind of the portfolio vibe at Chelsea. It feels like they've got this collection of young players, some of whom may prove to be very good, some whom are already excellent, some whom I just think are kind of landfill players.
Yeah.
Really, just like they belong in the sort of the top 6 of the Premier League. I don't think they'll ever progress to go beyond that.
That's
and
such
you wonder
a good
whether
term, Seb. It is like that. It's like the landfill indie bands. That's so. I like that.
I remember reading the Mark Cucurella interview, and I actually had a lot of sympathy for him because obviously when he joined the club he was joining would be very different to what the club is now. Like you joined the club with the promise of doing X, Y, and Z. Presumably that included winning the Premier League, contending for the Champions League, these kind of not promises, but ambitions. And now if you were him, you're thinking, okay, well, what's stage 2? Stage 1 is to gather all of these guys around and kind of to prospect. And then that's usually followed by a kind of, okay, well, here's my 26, 27-year-old guy, which is going to anchor the team. Here are my sort of, my quote unquote captains, my leaders. And it just hasn't really evolved beyond the original idea. The football, I don't have too many opinions about just because I'm not that interested. But then that in itself is quite descriptive of what's going on there. It doesn't feel like I need to be interested in it in the way that I would be Arsenal's evolution under Arteta or whatever's going on at Man United under Carrick, Villa. It just doesn't seem like that's really the objective at the moment.
Well, just to clarify what Seb was saying before, he mentioned the Mark Cucurella interview. That was an interview with The Athletic. Here's a quote from that interview. I understand this is part of the club's policy. He's speaking, referring to Chelsea's transfer strategy. I understand this is part of the club's policy and that they want to take this direction, signing young players and looking for a future. But for all of us who are still here and want to win big things, moments like this make you feel discouraged.
So what was the moment that he's referring to?
I can't remember.
Maresca
it was
leaving?
2 weeks ago.
I think it was about Maresca leaving.
Was it
You
about
keep
Maresca
mentioning that,
leaving?
don't you?
I think it was him or another player. I think it was him that was suggesting that.
It was against PSG, I think.
Oh yeah, it was the PSG.
I think it was
loss.
I think it was the
PSG
elimination
loss.
from the Champions League.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was the PSG loss, and it's kind of exactly what you were saying what you guys were saying before. I don't know. I mean, I feel as though this summer will be a really interesting one for Chelsea. I'm sure that they'll try to sign more exciting young players. But
Ekbali said that they're going to look for, or hinted that they will look for slightly more established, experienced players this summer. Yeah.
How about that? Okay. Well, that's interesting. And we don't know whether that is in response or not to the fan protest that happened outside Stamford Bridge over the weekend. But Karis Jones, who works for The Athletic, was there and she filmed a video. We're actually going to try and watch it now. So let's watch that and we can react to the fan protest.
They don't care about us. All we care about is Chelsea.
I'm Karis Jones, I cover Chelsea for The Athletic, and I'm walking to Stamford Bridge with hundreds of Chelsea and Strasbourg fans protesting their club's owners. Chelsea fans joined with about 30 fans from Strasbourg protesting both clubs' owners Bluecoat, the consortium led by Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital that took over Chelsea in 2022 and Strasbourg in 2023. One of the organisers from Not a Project CFC told me he has no faith that these are the right custodians of the club, while a spokesperson from the Strasbourg Supporters Federation said he feels Strasbourg are not an independent club anymore. There were insults aimed at Clearlake, at Blueco, chants for Chelsea's former owner Roman Abramovich, and chants of "We want our Chelsea back." Their concerns echo many of those raised in an open letter from the Chelsea Supporters Trust earlier this week, saying the current model has demanded a huge amount of faith from the fan base while giving too little clarity in return. This week, Clearlake co-founder Bidad Eghbali said at a conference in Los Angeles that the ownership are reflecting on what they can improve and are committed to bringing success to the club.
I mean, you see, like, in some ways it's hard to feel sympathetic for Chelsea fans because the club still spends an awful lot of money. But how do you feel about it? Because on the other hand, I don't know, their club is kind of being screwed with, and it's like a bit of an experiment, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to try and take my club bias hat off here, and because I sympathise with when you're used to how they used to be run and the kind of regularity with which they would win trophies and always be competing at the top of the league, to become the biggest club in a multi-club model, but then still kind of only be seen or appear like a trading machine rather than the one that wins trophies.
Yeah.
I can completely understand why they're frustrated. I have more sympathy with Strasbourg fans who are the subsidiary of that. Like the
Vico said 30 of them were
they
the
joined
as well.
They joined some of them joined the Chelsea fans. So they are a proper club in their own right who have become like a feeder club for Chelsea. So that's arguably worse. I think not arguably. I think that is worse. That is worse than being Chelsea. Although Strasbourg might win a trophy this season and Chelsea won't. But I do lose some sympathy when they chant for Roman Abramovich's name. But it does
muddy the waters.
But it's a call back to when the era when they would compete for trophies. Like that's what it means. But
okay, fine. We've got to talk about Liam Rosenier's future a little bit. I think. I mean, I don't think it can be.
He's aging the men in the crowd very quickly with these results.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think it can be understated how bad 5 losses and 6 games at this stage of the season is. Like losing out on Champions League, despite or as a result of the investment that has been made, is I think that is a mess. I mean, it's sort of impossible to know how much of this you can attribute to Liam Rosenior. There have been periods of time where Chelsea have looked pretty good under him. Obviously, the recent run is not one of those. What do you make of him, JJ? And what do you expect or imagine might happen with him and his position in the summer, given that there'll be so many other clubs looking for big managers?
Well, I think the players will be very aware of the sort of memes around Rosenior and the way that he's portrayed. I don't think it will matter anything because he seems like a friendly person that could probably manage them as people and they might respect that. I think more the situation at the club is something that the players will be very aware of because everything we just talked about, like Cucurella and Enzo Fernandez, and then like fans protesting against all that stuff. It's all linked. It all goes, that reaches far wider. That's like even societal things. When things were better back in the day, everything's worse now. So you've got all that. So then you've got
didn't pull your string. How dare you?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but these are things, right? So I mean, there's much bigger things going on. But then with Rosenior, he may well have like the tactical stuff there and whatever you need to be manager, but if they don't have the players to be able to do it, and the dressing room start to fall apart because the club is separated from the fans. Like, where's the connection with the fans on that pitch now?
Yeah.
The players who you maybe connect with, like Caicedo, the ones who work really hard, like, are they connected to the fans? Because you've got this sort of elite people running that club who are running it as a business portfolio, so stocks and shares, that the players gather interest and they can get good return on your investment. And then they do things with Strasbourg. It doesn't feel like real football. It feels like you're playing for a supermarket or any sort of like what is it? What's the Chelsea there? Yep. And so Rosenior's job is incredibly difficult because you have to try and ignore that noise, make the players concentrate on playing football, but there's no way they can. They're also now out of all the competitions, so like, what's really the prize?
They're in the FA Cup semi-final at the weekend.
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter.
Against Leeds.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
A team who are in much better form than they are.
I think the FA Cup does matter.
so it says.
Seb, I just forgot it was there, so I'm dismissing it.
Seb, let me ask you, like, we're I think JJ makes the point well that, like, Liam Rosenior is clearly a competent coach from a tactical perspective. Clearly knows how to run a football team. My fear would be that he's the owner's guy. I mean, he came from Strasbourg. Like, he doesn't seem like someone who's going to complain about all the things that the players, or some of them, have complained about the things that the fans were complaining about, or a select group of them outside the stadium yesterday.
And Maresca.
And Maresca. Like, would you worry that actually the challenge for him might be that the players will look at him and think, well, I want us to win now, and you don't seem to care about that in the same way?
Yeah, it's really difficult. Also, like, imagine being in his situation at Strasbourg, right, and the big club says, right, you're going to come and manage us now. You can't say no.
No. Yeah.
I mean, you could, but it probably changes your career prospects for the foreseeable future. And then you're inheriting a situation where, certainly amongst some of the more influential Spanish speakers in that dressing room, Enzo Maresca was very, very popular. And if you're going to replace someone who's popular, you with those kind of players, and there's a World Cup winner among them, right? Enzo's won the World Cup with Argentina. When you do that, you're going to have to bring in like quite a big name, someone who has kind of success that immediately appeases them. to kind of allow them to get over whatever loyalty they had to Maresca. And they haven't done that. They've just promoted the guy from within. So even before they've met him, unless you've got a lot of guys in that dressing room who are watching a lot of French football the weekends, which I don't think they probably are.
Probably
unless
not.
it's PSG. Probably not.
Other than the former Strasbourg players that they have.
Apart from those guys, right? But it's an almost impossible task. And I think one of the caveats before he was appointed was, is he ready to do a job like this? Good coach, good guy, intelligent person. But is this the natural step up in his career? Do you go from Strasbourg to Chelsea? You might go from Strasbourg to newly promoted Premier League team. And that's kind of an equivalent perhaps. And that teaches you a little bit about the league and how to, how to deal with things like the news cycle and the amount of attention which is paid to stupid stuff, to, drama and melodrama and soap opera stuff, or those bits and pieces. But he's kind of in the situation where he's been shoved into a position where he's likely to fail. And as a result, it's going to change everybody's perception of him in the process. But it's really hard. It's really, really hard. And you don't have a self-managing team, Joe. Like there are some sides where when a coach gets sacked and everything's gone wrong, everyone's kind of fine with it because the dressing room runs itself. It's got enough senior guys. The team picks itself really. And so you just kind of ease into a new era where everything seems lighter and happier and all the acrimony's gone. Not the case at Chelsea, right? Because you don't have those figures in the dressing room.
That's another great point. Seb's on fire today.
He's making good points.
Oh my God.
Like when Mourinho got sacked in 07-08 and Grant came in, but the squad were like,
it's the same as when Villas-Boas got sacked and they brought in Di Matteo.
Yeah.
Like that team kind of won itself the Champions League. No disrespect to Roberto Di Matteo, but that Champions League success can be attributed to Didier Drogba, to Petr Cech, to Frank Lampard, to John Terry. Like these guys who they almost run the club from within. Yeah. And Chelsea isn't that club anymore. And it's an enormously difficult job now.
Yeah.
Still, Gary O'Neill will definitely be good next season for them, I'm sure.
Okay, well, very briefly before we take a break, Manchester United, for whom it's more promising, of course. They are on 58 points. They're in third place. I think Aston Villa are on 58 points in fourth as well.
Correct.
Steve's banging on the window.
I was trying to do thumbs up to not interrupt the podcast, ironically.
Most aggressive podcast.
Banging on the window because I want to talk about the Arsenal.
Yeah. No, Seb, that's the opposite of what I want to do today.
We don't want to do that today.
No.
Anyway, as we've just discussed, the gap between Liverpool and Chelsea, I think, is 7 points. So the gap between Man United and the not Champions League positions is now 10 points, I think. So it would be almost virtually impossible for them to not qualify for the Champions League at this stage, which is absolutely huge, you have to say. The team yesterday, I suppose the biggest positive, the biggest standout was Aiden Heaven, who had like a relatively decent performance at centre back in a makeshift pair with Mazraoui, who was actually excellent, I thought, during the game. It's a nice, promising a view of the future, isn't it? Obviously, Lenny Yoro is injured, but you can imagine a world where Aiden Heaven and Yenny Loro, I always do that, Lenny Yoro are a starting centre-back partnership for Manchester United, can't you?
In the future, yes.
Yeah.
I think they need elite players who are ready now, and then the other ones can grow into it. Heaven's showing signs of being a player in the future. Like centre-backs tend to take a bit longer to get there. How old is he? He's like 21, something like that.
He's younger than that.
You don't want to fall into the trap of the team we've just been talking about and end up with two very young centre-backs that can't.
He's 19. That's too young.
He's 19.
So like you just let him be one of your squad members. You got him and Yoro's still developing as well. So you have someone else alongside them who can make them good. I think Maguire's there for another year, isn't he?
Yoro's only recently turned 20.
Yeah, he's dead young
as well.
Yeah.
Maguire, I think there was talk that he did or is about to sign a new contract.
Yeah, he's sticking around and he can play on both sides. So obviously Heaven being left-footed, if you wanted to pair them two, you could play Maguire on the right. And
De Ligt is still there and Martinez is still there.
Yep.
So like they've got... it's not a bad way to grow a squad like that. They can do it. If someone else comes along who's amazing, then you can do that. But
have perennially injured senior centre backs, and then your youth players will get a lot of game time.
Well, that's it. You want to have two players for each position, and maybe one youngster who can try and break in. That gives you your squad depth, and they kind of got that there.
Okay, before we go to a break, a quick round the horn. It's just a yay or nay here on is Michael Carrick going to get the job permanently, or should they be getting a different manager? JJ, one quick answer.
I really like him. does that quiet management like Ancelotti. And just like Seb was saying, that quiet management of the team, I think that kind of exists within Man United already at the moment. It's weird.
Okay. So, yes, you think he should have the job. Reuben?
Yeah, I think they'll keep him.
Okay. Seb?
Yay.
Yay. He said yay. Not only is it a yes, he's also excited. How about that? There we go.
He means in the old English way, ye old English way.
In the like the town crier way.
Yay, now I say we play the rondo after a break. Would you like that, boys? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we've returned from the advertisement break to play a rondo. Now, I've got some news for you. It's actually freezing cold in here, Steve. Do you think you could turn that aircon off for a little bit?
Sure.
Thanks, buddy.
It does keep you guys sharper, though.
Does it really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I feel a little ill. You know?
Okay. Right.
But anyway, there's no time for illness because it's time for a rondo. Seb, have you played the rondo with us before?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, here we go. Let me tell you something. I won the rondo yesterday. So technically, I'm the Rondo Del Rey. No one can take that away from me because I can't play it today because I'm hosting it, and that's how I've devised this whole thing.
I can't believe how long it took you guys to say Haaland yesterday.
Oh, yes, that's true. What it was City goal scorers, wasn't it? Yeah. I'm a genius, guys. But listen, today I'm going to be stepping back. You know, I don't want to win every time, so I've got to leave space for the other people to try. Here is today's, as presented by Steve, here's today's rondo, okay? And I forgot, I've got to tell people what the rondo is. Here's the rondo. I ask these guys a question that has multiple correct answers. We go round in a circle and collect correct answers. The first time that they cannot give me a correct answer, or they give me an incorrect answer, or they take too long over giving me any kind of answer, they are rejected from the rondo, and the final person standing is named Rondo Del Rey. We do know that that's incorrect in Spanish, but we think it's funnier that way. Today's question. Now, here's what Steve says. Reuben was on an Italian job last week, which we'll hear about a little bit later, watching Crystal Palace play in the Conference League. And so inspired by that, today's rondo is very simply every side in this season's Serie A.
Oh,
that's all it is. That's 20 teams. So it's simply naming a team from this season's Serie A. And JJ, we will begin with you.
Napoli.
Napoli are a team, yes. Reuben.
Inter.
Inter Milan are a team. Or Internazionale, you could have had. Seb.
Fiorentina.
Fiorentina count, JJ?
AC Milan.
AC Milan count, yeah. Reuben?
Juventus.
Juventus, of course, count. Seb?
Torino.
Torino count, JJ?
Lazio.
Yes, Lazio. Reuben?
Roma.
Yes, Seb?
Bologna.
Oh, there's one. It's starting to slow down a little bit now, though. JJ?
Atlanta.
What?
Atlanta.
Atalanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, there you go. I was just checking how you were saying
that
it.
second name was very squashed.
Sounded a bit like you were talking about, Atlanta, Georgia.
The MLS team.
Yeah, but you were saying Atalanta.
I did not mean that.
Okay,
great. Atlanta.
Reuben?
Genoa.
Parma.
Cagliari.
Yeah, Cagliari. Yes! Okay.
Butchered pronunciation, but yeah, well played.
Cagliari.
Oh, he's taking some time. He's taking some time.
Can I have
5, 4.
Empoli?
You can't.
No.
Empoli are
Serie
not
B.
in Serie A. I'm sure they must be in Serie B this season. Okay. Reuben is out. Seb, over to you.
Cesc Fabregas is Como.
Yeah, Como. I was waiting for someone to say Como. All right.
We said Roma yet?
Roma have been said.
Oh, they've been said?
Yeah.
Udinese.
You can have. Okay, wow.
Yes!
This is the furthest JJ's ever got in a rondo, guys. It's the best he's ever done. Okay. Seb, it's back over to you. There's 5 teams remaining, by the way.
Pisa.
Yes, Pisa. You can have it. The Leaning Tower.
I went there on the way to Florence.
All right, JJ, it's back to you. There's 4 teams. You definitely know all of these teams, if that helps you. But I am going to have to insist that you face the camera. And I'm going to start. As soon as I stop talking, that'll be silence. So you should be worried that I'm running out of
I'm going to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Bari
are not on the list. They're not on the list. And FC Barry, I think, are a Welsh team anyway. I'm just joking.
That's what I meant.
Okay, Seb, you have to name a team in order to be named Rondo Del Rey. That's how this works. There are 4 remaining. Again, as a reminder, you definitely know all of them. So hopefully that helps
Oh,
you.
I
know who.
Keep it stum. Keep it stum.
Verona.
Hellas Verona are in Serie A. You're the Rondo del Rey, Seb. He's the Rondo del Rey. The Rondo del Rey. Look at him dance. There
Sampdoria?
he goes. Sampdoria also
No.
not in
Oh, that's
Serie A.
good. Well, I would have been out
relegation.
anyway then.
You
Relegated.
could have had
Yeah.
Cremonese.
Cremonese, where Jamie
I
Vardy
wouldn't have
plays
got
this
Cremonese.
season.
Yeah, you could have had Jamie Vardy. You
Yeah.
could have had Lecce, of course.
yeah,
and you
yeah.
could have had
Wouldn't have
Sassuolo.
got that.
Yeah.
Sassuolo,
Oh,
I
Excuse
think.
me?
Sassuolo is
Yeah.
that's the one I would have got, I think. But I would have found it
Yeah.
difficult with the others. So
I wouldn't have got
congratulations.
Cremonese.
Well done, Seb. You're the winner. How about that? Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Should we go back to the podcast now?
Yes.
Yeah, you did. Do you feel better about how you did? In fact, here's a question for you: is it better to come so close and have hope and lose, or is it better to just never have been in with the shot in the first place? I'm asking for a friend.
It's better to have been. I mean, my football supporting career have always been of terrible teams.
Right.
So I know this world better than most
Mhm.
football supporters.
But
you
it's
know?
better to be in it.
It's better to be in it, yeah.
Yeah.
It is the hope that kills you.
Got
The
it.
cliche is correct. But occasionally
Slowly.
you tip over and then it's fine.
Got it.
But Arsenal have won loads of stuff.
You feel smarter the further you get. So
True.
it's disappointing to lose at the end, but going out first does make you feel stupid.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely.
It's
Okay.
more frustrated I can't remember. If you ask me later in the day, then I'd remember. But as we've established, every day is a new me.
It's a new day. Well, today's one, pretty good.
Yeah.
Not good enough, but pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
That's just tapping into the 90s knowledge.
I know we're not talking about Arsenal and Man City because we talked about it on yesterday's podcast, but I do just want the very quickest whip around. I only want one team name. I just want to know who you now believe is going to win the Premier League. JJ.
I think Man City.
Okay. Ruben?
Yeah, all season I thought Arsenal, but in the last couple of weeks I think City.
Seb?
No, I still think Arsenal. I don't trust City at all.
Me too. I do.
Really?
I also
Still.
think so.
I get it.
I think not on the basis of how they play or the team or anything, just on the basis of what would make most narrative sense to me at this moment. It's too early to swing. There's still an act left, you know? I'm in the cinema and I'm thinking, well, the film's not over yet. There's 20 minutes. Oh, there's 20 minutes left. There's still a sting in the tail.
But there's something about the way it's gone and
Yeah.
where Arsenal are now and the shift and the change they have to make to try and get there.
Yeah.
It'll disrupt what they've been doing all season.
They were good yesterday, though.
They were
They
all right.
did play really well.
I thought
yeah.
they were good.
Well, they were fine.
I think the players are coming back from injury.
Yeah, but they're fine.
We'll see. We'll see, hey? We're going to see.
But crucially in that title race, just one thing. City's game in hand is against Palace, but City are in the FA Cup semis and Palace have just got to the Conference League semis.
Sure.
And if
So we don't know when it's going to happen.
we still don't have a date for it. And if City, if both of those teams win their semi-finals, then City will play the cup final on a Saturday, which means that their league game schedule for that weekend would have to move forward to
So they're going to cram all their games in.
So there might not be a midweek free to play that game.
Just do like a
but you can't do it after the final
tournament.
day.
All one day.
Ruben, when Palace just chuck the league now because they're safe and all eggs in the old European basket.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. But you still got to complete all the fixtures.
It's more that
No,
it's
but
more
you
than what
just
Ruben's
send out a
saying
load
is
of
that
jokers,
there'll
right?
be
You just
3
send out a
games
kids team.
in one day, right?
Yeah. Well, my friends are hoping that we send out the kids against Arsenal against City. Yeah, in that game to help prevent Arsenal from winning it.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because
They all want City to win.
Really?
Yeah.
But not for local rivalry reasons, for London-based rivalry reasons.
Well, we were discussing this in the WhatsApp group last night, weren't we?
Yeah.
I think it's like
You shared the Sid Lowe tweets.
Yeah, the theory of like City being the kind of
non-team.
They don't matter.
Sure.
And but it is to do with it's not necessarily geography, but like there are loads of Arsenal fans in South London.
Yeah.
So it feels different.
Yeah.
I don't really mind, to be honest. I quite like a new winner. I didn't mind when the Klopp's Liverpool won it.
Well, there won't be a new winner, of course, because
No.
they did win it before.
Yes, 22 years ago.
You know.
And a couple of times before that.
All right, let's talk about Tottenham Hotspur 2 to Brighton. Right, Steve, the Seagulls stole Tottenham's precious Premier League chips from right out of their hands. at the Tottenham Hotspur
That's
Stadium.
not bad for Hankey.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty good. Based on his performances previously, that is
Precious
that's
Premier League chips. The Lily Whites, it's not finished, Seb. The Lily Whites were led by Xavi Simons into a 2-1 lead, but the cockerel crowed for Tottenham with 3 minutes left to play as Jorginho Ruta equalised for Brighton to leave Spurs in a rut. They're, of course, 1 point behind West Ham in the table. So the Hammers play Crystal Palace tonight. The Irons. They play tonight. We don't know the result. So by the time people are listening to this, they will know. It's possible that Spurs could be 4 points from safety when you listen to this. It's possible that they could still be 1. It's possible that they could be 2 points from safety. And those are the possible eventualities.
I think West Ham get a result.
Yeah.
Pessimistically, just because of the Thursday game. Plus Wharton and Lacroix picked up knocks in Florence. But like you say, people will listen to this after the game's happened. So
if they get a result, though, West Ham, that is, I mean, you're right. Maybe we shouldn't linger on this because we don't know. But 4 points is isn't it? I mean, that's a bit. All right,
does feel it.
We'll come to that. Spurs. Seb, did you watch this game? I thought Spurs were actually much improved in many ways.
Yeah, still fragile and still very, very nervous anytime they had a lead, but they played pretty well. And I mean, really, they conceded twice to the only 2 shots on target, I think. The first goal from Matoma is absolutely brilliant.
Oh, it's amazing.
The second one's a mistake, but it's still a really great finish from Rutter.
But that Matoma goal is like goal of the season. One of them. It's so good.
Just so good. It's amazing technique. Like on his wrong foot as well. It's perfect.
He made it look easy, didn't he? It was one of those goals where you sort of think like, oh yeah, of course he scored from there. And then you look at the replay and you go, holy Jesus.
Well, you think when it hits like that, you're meant to hit it hard, but it's the opposite. You're meant to just sort of guide it. It's perfect.
Yeah, I saw somebody on Twitter point out it was like identical to, do you remember Juan Mata against United in 2012 from the Fernando Torres cross from the right wing? Basically identical, but like Seb says, on his weak foot. Crazy. Yeah,
beautiful. Actually, Matoma, his Brighton contract's up in the summer, so he could move.
No, 1 year left, sorry.
1 year, okay. Yeah. Okay, so he has 1 year left on his contract.
Exactly that.
From the summer. Yeah, so he still could move.
He's definitely
if Brighton were to sell him.
He's pushing 30 now though, isn't he?
28.
But he kind of started late, so I think he gets a few more years.
Yeah, maybe.
28's not 30 anyway, right? That feels like prime young, doesn't it?
A lot of injuries as well, though, so maybe, But, it's sort of, it could well be, moving in the summer.
Fuck me. I've said 4 things in a row that are wrong. This is good. This is going well. Anyway, okay. I felt sorry for them, though, Seb. I felt sorry for them. I felt sorry for Xavi Simons. It felt watching it, well, 2 things. It felt as though Brighton were always going to score an equaliser, but at the same time, it felt as though when they inevitably did, it would kind of be a little unfair.
I don't think it was unfair. Like, I think Brighton played okay.
Not an unfair outcome for Brighton, but I mean a little unfair on Spurs because it feels like they deserve something to go their way,
Yeah, well, I mean, sure. I still think, though, I expect West Ham will beat Palace just because Palace have the European thing. I don't imagine the last few days have been particularly intense. Shea Palace under Oliver Glasner, fair enough. You got kind of European priorities. But then Spurs' fixture list from here on in is actually quite kind. So they go to Wolves next, which Wolves are relegated, basically.
Yeah.
Obviously, they will face Leeds at home. They've got a tricky visit to Villa, but Villa, again, European objectives, and their Champions League place is kind of safe now, I think, after the weekend's result. And they've got Chelsea and Everton. So even if it goes to 4 points, clearly that is a little bit of a mountain, but it's not insurmountable. And I'm encouraged by the uptick in performance. Obviously, a little bit of sweet because the club are in this position because they faffed over so many decisions this season, and had they made this change 6 weeks ago, even, I think perhaps they wouldn't necessarily be clear, but they would be in a much more positive situation with more confidence, players playing with a little bit more attacking thrust, which is good to see. They still have some major issues because there's no one on the team that can pass the ball forward, really.
Yeah,
which is a remarkable thing to say. The goal scorers are not there. Christian Romero is out for the season, and by the way, we're saying the abuse Kevin Danso has received
is horrible.
Is just disgraceful.
It's disgusting.
Like, I think, like, you know what's terrible, Joe, is that you kind of expect it now. You just know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that is a terrible place for us to be as a sport. I think that you just know that a player's going to suffer that because he made a mistake. It's just a mistake. It's just it comes with consequences, but it is just an honest mistake that a player made, and you have to be able to accept that as a football fan. Like that's just disgraceful. So really disheartening, and that was probably the low point of the weekend. Rather than clearly the Brighton equaliser was very tough to take as a fan, but seeing him, Kevin Dancer is also a really, really good citizen. Does a lot of charity work. Is a really nice person. Everybody who works at the club speaks extremely highly of him as a human being.
Yeah. Even if he wasn't any of those things, he still doesn't deserve racist abuse.
No, of course, it's just particularly galling.
He played quite well up until that as well, didn't he?
He did. He did. He's not Christian Romera's equal, but he's a very solid defender. He does his job every week. And then we're now in a situation where we kind of have one of these every week. It now seems, right? Like where black player suffers racist abuse because of something that happened in a football match. It's very depressing.
It is very depressing. But it's good timing for Spurs to face Wolves, I think, because on the basis of their performance against West Ham, that's Wolves' performance, and also on the basis of Spurs' performance against Brighton, I feel like if they play like they did against Brighton, they will batter Wolves. And I don't know, they need a 3-0 victory, strong. Don't they? No, I honestly feel like
batter's strong.
I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. I think there's a chance that could happen, and I think that's exactly the kind of thing that they need to try and extract results from the remaining 4 games beyond that.
Wolves' bounce has kind of worn off now, hasn't it? They just lost 3-0 to Leeds.
It does seem that way.
I agree. I just wonder whether, because when that Xavi Simons second goal went in, I was like,
what a banger!
What
by the
a goal!
Way. Yeah.
What a moment. Like, is his probably, correct me if I'm wrong, Seb, his best performance in a Spurs shirt in the Premier League. And then that was like such an incredible moment to have that bubble burst immediately by the Rutter equaliser.
Yeah.
I wonder whether that will have like an even bigger damaging impact on the mentality because all the positivity suddenly just evaporates, or whether the performance will be encouraging enough to get a similar performance against Wolves.
I think that the score was already in such a low place that there's nowhere else to go. Because if you think about the things that have happened this season, to think about the things that have happened this weekend, right? So lose season-changing points with 95th minute equaliser, having previously conceded an equaliser in the first half with an XG of 0.03 or something. Brilliant goal, but ridiculous, of course, to concede that way under those circumstances. And then on Sunday, a little bit of optimism because Burnley take the lead at Nottingham Forest, and of course Morgan Gibbs-White scores a hat-trick in the second half to put the fires out for Forest, a player that the Spurs nearly signed. Maybe Arsenal don't win the title, but that's been on the horizon too. The club have suffered pretty much every serious injury you could suffer within the course of a season. Their captain has been ruled out. Kudus has had to have a second operation.
They haven't won a penalty all season, which is kind of astounding, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. And there is sort of the usual array of refereeing grievances that every club has, really, and that Tottenham seem to have suffered from. Mm-hmm. So it's just another thing. And at the end of the day, it doesn't actually change anybody's task. Like emotionally, you have to learn how to win a game again. So I don't think they'll batter Wolves. I think they'll beat Wolves. And I think that's the important thing. Remember what it feels like to win in the Premier League again. And then, Leeds is very winnable. Villa is winnable under the circumstances because of where their priorities will be. Everton is winnable. And I think Chelsea's probably winnable because I don't think Chelsea are a particularly good side. Chelsea will put more into that game than probably any game they've played in like 3 months. If Spurs are relegated as a result of it, of course they will. But that's how I choose to view things.
It felt a little bit like, when teams get confirmed relegated and then suddenly play without pressure and improve. Yeah. It's like they haven't gone down yet, and
they're in the relegation zone.
Now they're in the relegation zone. There is a little bit like, well, what have we got to lose?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, and they played with a little bit less inhibition against Brighton.
De Zerbi's main thing, he said when he arrived, was, they need a father, they need a brother, they need, obviously we're not behind the scenes, we don't get to see how he is with the players during the week, but they certainly seemed like a team that had a little more unity than the week before.
And that's what
I thought it was positive.
That's what Jack Pitbrook was saying was the most important thing, right? Was to get inside the players' heads and remind them that they're good and they can win.
Okay, let's move on. Well done to Brighton, who've won many points recently, but we don't have time to talk about them. Bournemouth, in advanced negotiations, I think, or at least they were when I wrote this down, Seb, with Marco Rosa. That was obviously with last week's announcement that Andoni Iraola will leave Bournemouth in the summer. Talk has turned to his replacement. Marco Rosa was a former Borussia Dortmund boss, RB Leipzig coach. So can you tell us a little bit about him, Seb? And also, do you know anything about this? Is it happening?
Yes, the direction of travel. So we reported on Friday that they expect to appoint him. It's not quite completed yet. Also, Bournemouth's season is still active, right? So they still have an opportunity of playing European football. And so as and when an agreement is found, it has to be done in a way which doesn't unsettle anybody. It's done in a way that respects Andoni Iraola too, because he's earned that respect for everything that he's done at Bournemouth. Done a wonderful job. Rosa, really interesting appointment potentially. So his career chronology is quite interesting. So I suppose his career high point was early in his time at Borussia Mönchengladbach, probably, before it kind of had a situation where he announced his departure prematurely, and then the wheels came off, and everybody's attention focused down the road, and it didn't end particularly well. He was only given a year at Dortmund, despite a lot of optimism about his brand of football, which is sort of high pressing. He's obviously formerly an RB Salzburg head coach, so you understand what that's going to look like. Obviously, very vertical, a lot of getting from A to B as quickly as possible. That style. Intensity. Didn't work at Dortmund, was given a year, was seen as kind of a harsh sacking at the time, but there wasn't a lot of, sorry for the word I'm about to use, but synergy. Didn't really convince anybody in that year. Ugh, feel dirty. And then Leipzig. So one of the great appeals, Marco Rosa was born in Leipzig. So, he came back into the Red Bull network, yes, but he was also essentially coming home, and it felt like a good fit. And
I was born in Leipzig. Is that? Can you say it in that phrase, in that accent?
Never without being.
You were simply brought in by Red Bull. I was born in Leipzig.
That is the worst Bane. It's like hungover Bane.
You merely adopted the glucose.
There you go.
Any better, Seb?
Anyway, so he comes to Leipzig and he inherits what is really quite a talented squad. So that was the first year when they had Šeško, Xavi Simons, Dani Olmo, Luis Openda as that group of attacking players.
Good
in
team.
addition to sort of other guys that were still there. It was a good team, but all young guys. A couple of players who were quite fragile, particularly Olmo, who had tremendous injury difficulties when he was at Leipzig. And he got a tune out of that group for a year. But over time, socially, things weren't quite as harmonious as they could be. One of the issues with Leipzig as a club model is you have a lot of young players in the same place at the same time. So young players are always volatile. Their form is always up and down. Also, because Leipzig is to a Xavi Simons type player or Benjamin Šeško, it's a waypoint on the way to somewhere else. So there comes a point at which you start to think, well, I've been here for a couple of years. Where do I go next? And so in some players, Šeško wasn't really one of them, but in some players that translates into wavering focus. And so in the second season, when Rosa he became under serious pressure from kind of the end of the autumn onwards. People wanted him kind of gone probably by the Winterpause. It was difficult to know where his responsibilities ended and the players began, if that makes sense. And certainly by the end of the season, they had a big old clear out at the end of the year, right? Got rid of a lot of players. Simons to Spurs, Šeško to United, Openda to Juventus. They had a complete reset, and the club have made no secret of the fact that a lot of that was about rewiring their dressing room dynamics, which kind of mitigates some of the responsibility. But I like him. I like him as a person. Players like him. He's a very friendly guy, very charismatic guy. He's a players coach. I also think he's a really good fit for the type of footballers they have down in Bournemouth. So I'm really keen to see how he does. And actually, I think his former head of medical at Leipzig is now head of medical at Bournemouth. That might be absolutely nonsense. I might be
so it's
making something up
nepotism,
there, but I
that's
think
what you're
that's true.
saying.
No. And as a big fan of nepotism, no.
Okay, I'm very curious to see how he does if they are able to sign him, because I think it's going to be nigh on impossible to improve on Iraola's Bournemouth season. So I'll be curious what the response is.
Yeah, me too.
Reuben, Coventry City were promoted. How about that? As Steve writes, Coventry City will be back in the Premier League for the first time since 2001 next season. The Sky Blues have been led back to the promised land by their very own Mr. Blue Sky, Frank Lampard. Again, right, Steve?
Not bad for Hankey.
Not bad for Hankey.
Quite enjoyed.
And it's been quite
Did
a
he
journey.
have like a coffee when he was writing that?
Maybe he did.
It's amazing what grief and panic will do. I was writing this post at Man City Arsenal, listening to the live stream. And
There it is.
Yes.
How about that? It's been quite a journey for Coventry since they were last in the top flight, hasn't it, though, Reuben?
Yeah, like you say, 25 years. As recently as 2012, they were.
It's 2001 was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Do you know who else got relegated along with Coventry in that year?
Oh, good question.
Barnsley.
Was it
West Ham.
2001?
I'll just tell you because it's fun.
Aberdeen.
Well, maybe Seb can get it. 2001, yeah.
Swindon.
2001.
Aston Villa.
Bradford.
Bradford's one of them, yeah. But the funny one is Manchester City.
Oh, wow. God, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
But yeah, on that note, I mean,
Nothing's changed since then.
I don't remember Bradford in the Premier League. I don't remember Coventry in the Premier League.
Right.
Oh.
Here they go. Back
so
again.
young. You're so young. It's
Dion
terrible.
Dublin, Darren Huckerby, all the lads.
Mustafa Hadji.
Oh,
Steve
yes.
Froggatt.
I know all of these names.
If young people haven't seen Steve Froggatt's goal, go look at that.
Steven Ivanisevic, he was in Coventry, wasn't he?
Man,
Froggatt's not a real name.
Steve
surely.
Froggatt should get. He's the kind of person who should be attacked by a crow. You know, because
Steve Froggatt scored one of the great goals in Premier League history. I'll have you know, Reuben. Brilliant goal.
I'll look it up.
Absolutely
I'll look it up. But yeah, as recently as 2012, they were in League One.
Sorry, I was just laughing at
Froggatt.
Seb and JJ shouting old men's names at you. Sorry. Yes, tell us about Coventry, Steve Froggatt.
They went down.
Gary McAllister.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Richard Keys.
Yeah.
They
Paul Telfer.
they went down to League Two in 2017.
Yes, right.
But they also won the EFL Trophy that season.
Oh.
Which is like the FA Cup for babies.
Right.
Um,
That's like what Forest are about to do with the Europa League and then potential relegation.
yeah,
hey?
and what we're going to do with the Europa League next season.
Of course.
But yeah, they came back up to the Championship in 1920. But then they've had like some quite heartbreaking playoff defeats. Do you remember that FA Cup semi-final against United?
Yes.
Where they almost turned around a 3-0 and they had their very last minute winner chalked off for like a toenail offside.
Yeah.
So all of that having gone through like years of off the pitch turmoil as well. They moved to the Rico in 2005, which but then years later ended up having to play their home games at Northampton due to a rent dispute. And they've also ground shared with Birmingham City. And they recently, when they were ground sharing with Birmingham City, the Rico was owned by Wasps, the rugby team originally from London
yes, of
that is
course.
now defunct.
Right, yes.
So just lots of...
Wait, Wasps are defunct?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
I thought they were one of the biggies.
They were, yeah.
Well, they were, yeah.
Really?
But anyway, we don't acknowledge...
Who knows about
I
rugby,
don't
yeah.
acknowledge rugby as a proper sport, so we'll move on.
Got it.
Acknowledge Rugby League, please.
Okay.
Rugby League is an excellent sport.
Yeah.
Robbie Keane played for Coventry, remember that? And he went to Inter
Yeah.
Nazionale.
Steve Agrizovic.
I'm now
Yes,
thinking,
that's who I was thinking of.
because Ruben said
Keith Houchen.
Birmingham, I'm now thinking of Nikolai Zigic. Remember Zigic? He
yeah.
was great.
He was a
great.
big
Anyway,
old. Yeah.
They eventually did manage to buy the stadium back from Mike Ashley.
Right. How about that?
And it's now known as the Coventry Building Society Arena, which, you know, at least it has the word Coventry in it.
Sure.
That's much better. And then, yeah, Lampard took over from long-serving coach Mark Robbins, who was very popular, but is kind of seen as the guy who kept them alive but wasn't going to take them further.
Sure.
Lampard, who I have been quite critical of in the past, I wasn't that impressed with anything he did at Chelsea or Everton, has done a great job here, taking them from 17th to automatic promotion.
Great.
With kind of, all the praise that I've read about Lampard does center on his kind of personality, motivation, leadership, that kind of thing, which maybe explains why he's done better in the Championship than he has in the Premier League. Maybe he's one of those managers, but we'll see next season how he can, build on that in the Premier League again with a team that, he's brought up as opposed to taken over in the relegation zone.
Yeah.
And one last thing that's pretty cool is that in 2023, Coventry announced this like frozen ticket price initiative for season tickets, and a free season ticket in the Premier League if they got promoted within 5 years. So people who signed up then don't have to pay for their season ticket next year.
How about that? That is a fine deal.
And Frank Lampard was very emotional. Did you see?
I didn't see.
In his post-match interview at Ewood Park when they beat Blackburn to get promoted, he was... I don't know how it's possible to be on the verge of tears for about 5 minutes without actually crying, but it was that.
You should come around my house.
I can tell you, yeah.
No Lampardian transitions whatsoever.
Right.
Just, there was no laughter.
Just pure,
but
pure
seriously.
emotion.
Just pure, these lads, this club, it's a proper football club,
Right. How about that? Yeah. Well, there we go. Congratulations to Coventry City, the Sky Blues, and to Frank Lampard. Be curious to see how they perform.
And congratulations to Richard Keys, who celebrated the news of his boyhood club getting promoted with a lovely picture of his toe on Twitter.
Good.
And a glass of wine.
Good for that man. Now, Ruben, you also went to Europe, didn't you? Quick answer, did you climb the bell tower?
I didn't actually see anything in Pisa other than the train station.
There's the Leaning Tower.
That does sound like a euphemism.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah. But it's not. It genuinely was a real
Florence,
question.
not Pisa, Florence.
You went to Florence.
Yeah, is there a bell tower in Florence?
Is there a bell tower in Florence?
I didn't do anything cultural in Florence.
That was the original bell tower that started this story.
I thought...
It's very nice when you get to the top.
I thought that was something in Pisa. I flew to Pisa and I got a train to Florence.
Yeah.
And I drank a lot of beer with my friends and I watched Palace lose 2-1 but win the tie. Oh. And we ate some lovely pasta, some lovely pizza.
You described it as the best away trip ever.
Yeah, it was so good.
Oh, good, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Also, Aston Villa won 4-3 against Sunderland in a massive game. Someone commented on our live stream yesterday, which was exclusively about Manchester City Arsenal, and said, "Oh, no interest in Villa? Typical," on a video that has nothing to do with Aston Villa. I promised that person we'd talk about them today. Guess what? You guy, we don't have time, and it doesn't matter, and your team is boring and shouldn't have as many points as they do. How about that? That got a bit brutal towards the end, didn't it?
Yeah,
well done everyone involved, but also you. There we go. We should play points are bad before we wrap up, shouldn't we? Yeah. Sort of regretting how many times I told that guy to go himself. Now, what happened last week? Well, you'll recall, of course, that the fixtures that we were predicting for were Chelsea, Man United, and Man City, Arsenal. Who is the big winner today? JJ, it's not you. You came last. So you get thinking about what the next fixtures will be for us to select. You added 5 points.
I thought I did.
Well, you predicted 3-1 to Manchester United, so you added 3 points there. You predicted 4-1 to Man City, so you added 2 points there. You add those two things together, that's 5, and that's the worst of all the scores.
I'm not debating the accuracy of that.
No, you were just curious for a moment. I did badly as well. I added 4. Kai did 3. The 1-1 bot and John did 2. And Ruben, as played by Steve. So now,
I'm taking all the credit.
Steve did you dirty last time, but this time Steve did you clean. Yeah. So in the middle is a kind of a little bit messy, but everything's fine, generally speaking. Steve predicted for Manchester City, Arsenal, of course. Steve predicted 2-1 to Man City, which is a perfect prediction, and also
the emotional hedge. I like it.
He did an emotional hedge.
Thank you for your pessimism, Steve.
But I remember him saying, "What would Ruben say?" And I think this is what you would have said. So well done, Steve. And then, of course, for the other game, you predicted 2-0 to Manchester United. So again, did a pretty good job there. Okay, JJ, what will we be predicting for?
Well, I think because of the narrative of the Premier League, we should do Burnley versus Man City on Wednesday in the Premier League.
Yes.
Which then means we should definitely do Arsenal versus Newcastle on the Saturday.
God, now I love this stage of the season when there's 5 games left of the Premier League. There's everything to play for. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's exciting.
5 cup finals.
Okay,
as they say.
Let's start with you, JJ. Then, so is it City at home on Wednesday?
No, Burnley's at home on Wednesday night.
Okay, Burnley City.
It's a City's game in hand. So I think they'll win that 3-0.
Yeah. Burnley.
Yeah.
You think Burnley will win that 3-0?
I think so.
Is that really what you're saying?
No.
No.
Other one.
You think City will win that 3-0?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 0-3. You got that? And then it's Arsenal, Newcastle at home or away? At home.
Arsenal at home
Home.
to Newcastle,
Okay.
who keep losing.
Yeah, but it's nervous Emirates as well, isn't it?
That is very, very hard to
They
call.
have to win that game. They're going to win.
And then I think the 1-1 bot will win this.
Okay.
So I ain't going to have to go out with it. I'm thinking 1-0 Arsenal.
Okay.
It's the best way to win.
Okay. It's me to predict next. So for Burnley, Man City, I'm going to call it a 5-0 thrashing Man City. That's a big scoreline to predict, and points are bad, but I believe.
I like it.
And I think Ryan Check is going to score a hat-trick. Okay. Right. And then for Arsenal, Newcastle, I'm going to say 2-1. I'm just hedging. That's a full hedge, but 2-1 to Arsenal. Kaya, Seb, can you play? Because you're sort of, Kaya is like your replacement.
Surely Seb should be John.
You think? Because of Baldy with glasses?
Yeah. And then Steve can be
that feels
Kaya
fairer.
because Arsenal.
Yeah, okay, no, fair enough.
I
That's
can't
true.
get into the head of someone who has that much hair.
In which case,
Okay.
we'll go to Steve and we'll say, Steve, you'll be Kaya. What are you saying for these two fixtures?
I'm going to go for 2-0 Man City. No, 2-1. I think Burnley will get a late one.
Wow.
Why?
Yeah.
Kaya's a rogue.
Hope, Reuben, is what that is. And then Arsenal, Newcastle, based on that performance against City, I think we win that. We, as in I'm doing it together, I'm actually on the pitch. 3-1.
Okay, 3-1. How about that? All right, now, John, it's over to you as Seb. What do you think? That's actually uncanny.
Seb, the big question is what do you think the scores are going to be?
Burnley, Man City.
I think 3-0 Manchester City.
That's not available anymore.
I said
Oh,
that.
I'll take. Oh, JJ, sorry. I'll
That's
take
all right.
4-0 Man City.
4-0's available. You can have that. And then Arsenal,
And
Newcastle.
1-0 Arsenal.
I think that's Fab's
JJ
as well.
also
Also
said
what I
that.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, JJ. I really wasn't listening.
That's fine.
I'm so
I know
sorry.
that story well.
1-0's taken, 2-1's taken, 3-1's taken.
I'll take 2-0 Arsenal. Then.
Yeah, 2-0. All right, there he is. And then also, Reuben, we've got you. You
I
were the
hate going
winner.
last.
Well, this is what happens when you win. So how about it?
Victim of
Burnley versus Man City.
Suffering from success. Can I have 2-0 Man City?
Yes, you can have that.
'Cause
Okay.
Steve took 2-1.
And then can I have a result for Arsenal and Newcastle? Now, you could zag if you want.
2-0 to Arsenal.
Okay, I think
That's gone.
that's taken.
Ah.
I was going to say zagging, as in like no one's predicted Newcastle so far. If you want to zag,
Oh no, Newcastle is shit.
well, yes, but
So
when
is that
did
where-
Arsenal last win a game in the Premier League?
Yeah, I don't
A
know.
month ago.
Going 1-0 Newcastle in terms of the game of points are bad is not a bad.
It's not
guess.
a terrible idea.
Yeah. Neither of them
Yeah.
can score. Neither of them can
It's
score.
not
unless
what
it's
I
set
think
piece.
will happen.
2-1 Newcastle's a good scoreline as well for points bad.
I'll go. Okay, fine. I'll go 2. No, I'm going to go 1-0 to Newcastle.
He took the bait, JJ. We got him. We got this guy.
I'm
What
gonna-
an idiot.
I'm going to go 1-0 to Newcastle.
He doesn't remember Coventry's players of 2001. He's picked 1-0 Newcastle.
Gary Breen.
We got him, boys. Okay, no, that's good. That's a good pick.
Paul Williams.
All right, as it stands then, JJ, you're still in last place on 144 points. I'm in second
Yes.
last place on 131 points.
And points are
Reuben-
bad,
Yeah,
but then if you have the most of them at the end,
it's the most bad.
yes,
Yes,
which therefore
exactly.
means
Every day I wake up, I'm a new person.
means you win.
Now, Reuben, you're sharing the spoils at the moment. The spoils being second place with Kaya.
They're not spoils, are they?
Well, they're sort
John's
of
got all the
spoiled.
spoils to
You're
himself.
sharing the spoiled. You've got 128 points. John's on 127. He's skipped ahead very recently. And the 1-1 bot, of course, leading the way. So there we go. Come back next Monday to find out how we fared. And in the time being, I will say, Seb, thank you so much. You've got to speak for the audio listener as well. No, he shakes his head. He says nothing. Okay, thank you, Seb. Reuben Pinder.
Thank you very much.
JJ Bull.
Goodbye.
Steve Hankey was here.
Goodbye.
Agagabubadada. Exactly.
Goodbye.
Agagabubadada. Hey. Agagabubadada. Hey. Agagabubadada. Agagabubadada.
Hey.